We have kids that are graduating high school not knowing how to do basic math, not knowing how to read, not knowing how to write, not knowing anything about the country that they live in, but yet they're being told to go vote.
When it comes to things like math or high-level science, we are kind of lacking behind.
The latest round of state.
Oh, my bad, y'all. Bro, if y'all don't know, like, before I react to any of that stuff, I was a rap reaction channel. So this is kind of lit to me. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like this, bro. I'm not gonna lie. This K lit.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about what, in my opinion, is the civil rights issue of our time. Yes, this is a civil rights issue, which is the education of our children. Okay, it's a huge problem. It's a big problem. It is a crisis that we're not talking about enough in our country. Okay, we have kids that are graduating high school not knowing how to do basic math, not knowing how to read, not knowing how to write, not knowing anything about the country that they live in, but yet they're being told to go vote, right? They need to vote, okay? Again, this is a big problem that we're not talking about, we're not addressing.
All jokes aside, it is a big problem. Like, it's a huge problem, and I actually touched on this in one of my past videos. I was like, and a lot of people in the comments disagree with me. I don't think they really understood what I was saying, which is why they disagreed. I was talking about how we are only, I said black community, we are only about 5% of lawyers, doctors, and probably like, I think it was 3% of engineers in the country. And they're like, and I said we're 75% of like the NBA, and someone said that we're like 53% of the NFL. And they're like, well, it's way less people in the professional sport world. But what? But y'all aren't really getting what I'm saying. I said we're underrepresented in these type of fields. In these numbers, 40% of Baltimore high schools don't have a single math proficient student. They kind of reflect what I was saying. Like when it comes to fields like math or high level science, we are kind of lacking behind. And it's a big problem, but
and we got to talk about it. We have to bring more attention to this issue because our schools across the country are failing. They're failing so much that you have teachers now sounding the alarm on just how bad it is in the classroom in regards to our students and their learning. And I want to talk about that. And I want to go ahead and play this news clip here from Project Baltimore. That is a new report exposing just how bad the Baltimore city school system is.
And it's crazy because Baltimore, I don't live that far from Baltimore. I really don't. So when I hear stuff like this, I'm like, wow, it's kind of crazy how like Baltimore is one of the worst school systems, and I don't live that far from there.
Despite a record amount of funding.
The latest round of state test results raises alarm in Baltimore City, and we're getting a detailed look into how bad it is.
Project Baltimore's Chris Papps found 40% of city high schools where the state exam was given did not have a single student score proficient in math.
Jason Rodriguez.
This is educational homicide.
Is with people empowered by the struggle.
There is no excuse.
In 2021,
enough is enough.
The Baltimore-based nonprofit held rallies calling on Baltimore City School CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises to resign over low test scores, falling graduation rates, and a lack of transparency. Now, after seeing what Project Baltimore just discovered, Rodriguez is renewing those calls.
We have a system that's just running rogue, and it starts at the top.
Rodriguez is reacting to these new 2023 state test scores, which have not yet been released to the public. Fox 45 obtained them through a source in Baltimore City schools. The unredacted state test results at every school in the city. And what we found is hard to believe. Students took the test in the spring of 2023. Just a few months ago, we found 13 city high schools where not one student who took the state math test scored proficient. Not one student.
And you know what's crazy about this? When I was younger, when I was in like elementary and middle school, math was always a subject that never came easy to me. Ever. Like, math was, it's everyone. Like, no one is, a lot of us aren't really naturally good at math. If you are blessed. But here I am studying to become an engineer, and then eventually going to get my master's degree, and maybe even a minor in mathematics, which is insane. I only need one more class to get a minor in mathematics, which is crazy. And I only brought that up to say, when I hear these numbers about kids not being proficient in math and falling behind, and it's getting even worse, it just makes me think that nowadays, like 2023, this is the time where you can literally learn anything online for free. However, this is not really helping kids, because although it's more information online, it's way less teaching. And a lot of parents are putting their kids in situations to where they have access to the internet, but parents aren't really stressing the fact that kids should be out here actively trying to, search after certain things. Like, of course, there's math tutors online, but as a parent, it's your job to say, okay, stop getting on TikTok so much, or stop getting on Instagram so much, or whatever the case may be. Stop distracting yourself so much, and get on Khan Academy or something. Get on YouTube and watch some math tutors. Do that for an hour a day. Do that for 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day. That's literally all it takes. But not only are the parents not caring, the kids are getting worse. It's just crazy to hear that it's more resources, but kids are getting worse when it comes to these subjects.
These are the 13 schools, which include some of the city's most well-known high schools like Patterson, Frederick Douglass, and Reginald F. Lewis. In total, students at 33 high schools took the state math exam last spring. In our analysis, we are not including Eager Street Academy because it's located inside the Baltimore City Detention Center. Of the 32 high schools remaining, if 13 had 0 students test proficient, that means 40% of all Baltimore City high schools could not produce a single student who's doing math at grade level. But that's not the only alarming finding we made. In these 13 high schools, more than 1,700 students took the test, and nearly 1,300, or 74.5%, scored a 1 out of 4, the lowest level, meaning those students are not even close to being proficient. And keep in mind, last school year, Baltimore City schools received $1.6 billion from taxpayers, the most ever. The district also received an additional $799 million from the federal government in COVID relief funding. Yet still, not a single student at 13 city high schools.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that.
Bro, that is terrible. That is terrible. That is... When I was younger, I used to always think like you ever heard the phrase like parents just don't understand, or like older people just don't understand the kids and all this stuff. It used to hear like the older adults saying like, oh, you need to stop doing all that and read your books. But as I get older, I was like, they're so right. Because I'm saying the same thing. These kids need to, I'm not going to say they need to stop getting on social media, because you can learn a lot on social media. But they need to stop distracting themselves. That's the thing. They're distracting themselves. And I don't even want to just blame the kids, because when it's an entire county or an entire city struggling like this is like a, systemic issue, bro. Like, this is insane. I don't even know how something like this can happen. Like, it gotta be the parents, it gotta be the world around them, because you can't just have an entire area where everyone in this entire city is struggling like this. It has to be the environment. Like, it has to be the parents raising them up. It has to be the officials. I don't know. It's terrible, bro.
Read or write or do math at grade level. It really is a crisis.
No, y'all, can we talk about it? Can we please talk about it? Let's take a moment to discuss. Let's take a moment to debrief. Let's take a moment to unpack. So I'm not really understanding why they're not telling y'all. Like, we all know that the world is behind, like, globally, like, because of the pandemic and stuff. But I don't understand why they're not stressing to y'all how bad it is. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are... I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level.
What? Oh, my goodness.
I don't care how you flip it, turn it, swing it, swindle it. They still performing on the 4th grade level. Ain't nobody talking about how they just keep moving, passing them on. They just keep passing them on, passing them on, passing them on, passing them on.
And then some counties have something called No Child Left Behind. Bro, that is the worst thing that I've ever heard. If your child cannot read, okay, I understand math to a certain level, because as you get older, sometimes the math just get hard. Like, the math really start mathing like on some real stuff. I'm taking math classes to where you don't even use numbers no more. Like, it's no numbers. I don't even argue it's barely any letters. It's straight Greek. It's letters, but it's straight Greek letters and symbols. I'm talking about symbols. I'm doing math with symbols, partial derivatives. So at this level, it's like, okay, it gets a little tricky. But when you're in 7th grade, what are you learning? Y equals mx plus b. You're learning the slope of an angle. You're learning angles. You're learning basic algebra. 5x plus 4y equals 7. What's the answer? That is what you're doing. So the fact that you can't do this and you're 13 years old, you're 14, you're a preteen, you're a teenager, that's sad, bro. Like, it's not even... This is basic level. Like, this is just common sense level math. And the fact that there are kids who can't do this, or even worse, can't read, is pitiful, bro. And I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't even know.
Come on, pass them on, pass them on. I can put as many zeros in this grade book as I want to. They're going to move that child to the 8th grade next year. Ain't nobody talking about that. Why they not talking about that? Why they not telling y'all that y'all... And why don't y'all know that y'all kids not performing on their grade level? Why y'all don't know this? Why y'all don't know? Talk about it. Let's unpack. Because y'all be quick to talk about, oh, the teacher this, the teacher this, it's your job, baby. I just got here 30 days ago. She was performing on the 4th grade level since 4th grade. Why we not talk? Well, let's talk about it. You the teacher. You supposed to be, again, she been on the 4th grade level since the 4th grade. We in 7th grade now, so you let this child go 3 years and you never knew that your child was still in the 4th grade? Ain't never left. Bro. Hang it up, flat screen. And 4th graders being nice. I still have kids performing on grade K, 1, 2, and 3rd grade levels. I could probably count on one hand how many kids are actually performing on their grade level. So just imagine, you don't know that your child been on the 2nd grade level since the 2nd grade and they now in the 7th or 8th grade? Are you joking right now? And these are future leaders, our future doctors, our future nurses, our future... Please.
And this is what I be saying, like, when it comes to... People like to talk about, like, having privilege in society or having more opportunities than the next person. But when I say it's a cultural issue, or when I say kids aren't entering these high-paying fields, or people aren't applying themselves in school, I'm the bad guy. I'm for some reason crazy to think that. But when you have here a 7th grade teacher, and mind you, these kids are eventually going to be adults one day. They're going to eventually be the new world leaders. They are the new world leaders. They're growing into it. They're the future. But when I say, like, it's a cultural issue, we need to start exercising or pushing education more. Even if you don't go to college, let's say you get a trade. Let's say you start your own business. Let's say you're a youth. All you got to do is it's about the mindset. When I say it's a cultural issue, or it's a lack of application from the kids or even their parents, I'm the bad guy. Here we are always blaming issues on other people. It's always someone else's fault. It's always my teacher's fault that I can't learn this. It's always the school's fault that I can't do this. It's always the white man's fault that I can't go here. It's always the black person's fault that I can't do this. When do you ever sit down and be like, you know what? Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I'm just not trying hard enough. Maybe my circumstances just didn't push me to do this, but even though they didn't push me to do this, I'm still going to try my hardest to get to this level. When are we ever going to look in the mirror and be like, we can change our own circumstances. We can become who we want to become. Rather, we say, no, we just want to be athletes all the time. We want to be rappers all the time. We want to be entertainers all the time. This is the problem, bro. Like, even if you do want to enter those fields, go after it for real. We're going halfway somewhere, lacking completely in this area. It's terrible, bro. But anyways, I'm gonna just leave that there. If you have any suggestions for me, any comments about this, let me know. It's LFR Jojo, and I'll see you on the next one.